we're in this grand experiment that has never been done before, where all of the world's currencies are fiat currencies simultaneously. This is new territory. This is a monetary experiment that is conducted on a scale never before seen.
So are you familiar with Scott Maynard by any chance? Scott was at Davos, now better known as the World Economic Forum, in 2020. And he was being interviewed by two financial guys from Bloomberg. And they asked him, what's your go-to investment? And he said, silver. And says, silver? Well, what about gold? And he said, well, gold is pretty near its all-time high, but silver is off 60%. So in 2020, there was 320 million ounces of silver bought into the ETFs. And I suggest that Guggenheim, he was the chief investment officer of Guggenheim, probably had the lion's share of that. Now, I can't prove it. What I can prove is how much went in from the institutions. And that was the largest amount of silver ever in 1 year. The retail side on that year, Mike, was 200 million ounces. So if you add those two together, you come over 500 million ounces of silver for investment purposes only. So I said all that to say this, and maybe you put it in the book. I don't recall exactly, but what do you think when this run, what I call run to gold, which would be a huge spillover into silver, and silver will outperform gold, I'm convinced. Time will tell if I'm right. The people that are in the know, as you mentioned a moment ago, are not going to sit on the sidelines and say, oh, I'm going to watch my financial wherewithal crumble into nothingness in this fiat fiasco. I'm going to get in the bullion market as well. So where do you see the, let's say, institutional investor in all this?
Well, the institutional investors have a lot of power, and I believe that you'll be able to see the COMEX and so on will cater to them. But I do think the COMEX may potentially be headed for a default here. I think there's going to come a day where, there is a chapter on the book about a giant gold manipulation that happened during the pandemic. And I might be wrong there. Maybe my information is outdated, but suddenly in just a couple of months, the COMEX had to quadruple their gold stocks. And, everybody that's watching you knows that the COMEX is a fractional reserve scheme, that there's many, many times more paper ounces of gold and silver, promises to deliver, being bought and sold at any given moment than there is actual gold and silver to deliver upon. And they are now calculating their, they've got a registered category and an eligible, but they think that eligible category now is much, much smaller than they thought in the past, that a lot of people there may not, even though those bars qualify for inclusion in delivery, that the owners may not want to part with those bars at any price near what it's currently at. But these millions, I believe it was $55 billion worth of gold flowed onto the exchange in just a couple of months. And then somebody has taken delivery of about 12 million ounces, and there was 9.1 million ounces on the exchange before the inflows. So since the inflows, deliveries that have been taken exceed what was on the exchange. Now, during this time, the U.S., I'm sure, you get Nick Laird's information and stuff all the time too. Every month after month, for years and years and years, the U.S. is an exporter of gold. And one of the big places that we export to is the Swiss refineries. And during COVID, that reversed. We didn't export, we imported a lot of gold, and a lot of it was from the Swiss refineries. And simultaneously, China, who had been accumulating month after month after month for years without fail. There was more. When you look at all of this. This is just for your viewers. When you look at the central bank accumulation, they only report once in a while, and then it takes this big leap up because they haven't been telling us anything before. They keep it secret. But the Hong Kong exchange and the Shanghai exchange, we know the inflows and outflows. And there has been a net inflow into China every month for years and years. And then suddenly they stopped importing during that the period of time when the U.S. was importing, how does that happen? Is there somebody at these big bullion banks powerful enough to get China to actually stop importing gold for a few months while the U.S. gets enough gold to stay out of some emergency default? Because I think that I haven't checked all of this like as deeply as I need to, because it requires somebody going through spreadsheets of inflows and outflows of all of the different countries around the world and trying to be an investigator and figure this out. And maybe Ronan Manley has already done it. He's a great analyst.
He is.
Yes. Yeah. I have a lot of respect for his writing. So if he has, I didn't read the article and with the final analysis of what was going on during those months. All these conspiracy theories that there's tunnels between J.P. Morgan's vault and the Fed's vault. Right. They're at the same depth, and they're right across the street from each other. And CoinMelt would make all of the bars that were created from Roosevelt's nationalization of gold that used to be held at Fort Knox, that would make them eligible for COMEX. So it just feeds into all this conspiracy theory that we have absolutely no evidence for, but it is entertaining. Well, I'd like everybody to learn as much as they can about the monetary system right now. I truly believe that we're in for something just gigantic, one of the hugest shifts in finance and monetary history is coming at us. One of the things that I say in there, as you know, fiat currencies have never survived. It's 100% failure rate. All of the fiat currencies that exist right now were born on August 15th of 1971 or later, because before that, all of the British pounds and all of the different currencies around the world were backed by gold through the U.S. dollar. Right. So when Nixon severed the tie to gold, he changed the U.S. dollar after August 15th was a completely different dollar than before August 15th, 1971. And if all the other world's currencies were backed by the U.S. dollar, that means all of the other currencies became unbacked on that date. And so we're in this grand experiment that has never been done before, where all of the world's currencies are fiat currencies simultaneously. This is new territory. This is a monetary experiment that is conducted on a scale never before seen. And we know that every time this experiment was conducted in the past, that currency would eventually fail and people would rush to other currencies and to gold. Well, now there's no other currency to run to. There is only gold and silver, and that's it. Learn the difference between fiat currency and money, and then use the proper definitions. And this is something that I'm going to war on now. I'm the one that started this, but it surprised me that very few of my colleagues in this sector picked up on it and started differentiating between currency and money. And I believe it is important. In the book, I use a quote from Confucius that says, all knowledge begins with calling things by their proper names. It is important. If we want to have truth and understanding, we have to call things by their proper names. And calling the US dollar money is giving it accolades it does not deserve. It does not store value. It steals value from you constantly, every day, and transfers a very, very tiny sliver of value to someone else. Whoever got the new currency the Federal Reserve just created, whoever gets that first and spends it, they get the full purchasing power. But as it circulates, it's going to cause prices to rise because we didn't inflate the dollar, we devalued we inflated the currency supply. We devalued the dollar by doing that.